Good evening. Welcome to episode 216 of the Brewgooders, the beer, comics, and Assorted Geekery podcast. I'm Jeff. To my right, but not as far as where we remember the far right, is Andrew. We've got the full crew down today, actually. Just below me, you got Stu, and on the bottom right, insert far right jokes and stuff, all that nonsense. We've got John, and yeah.
Hello.
How's everyone doing?
Pretty good. Yeah, it's been nice to get some decent weather recently. The weekend there, we managed to have like the ultimate combination of beer, garden, and like burnt food cooked outdoors. So it was marvelous on Saturday, and then on Sunday it was like the wrath of God. Came up it was just like 1 minute it was like
it's still mad though. It's affecting like. We had a gardener out last week, and he was saying it's like the work, like it's great for him, but it's just really like that kind of, particularly up here where we seem to be getting like one day of beautiful sunshine followed by rain. It's just causing like insane amount of like garden growth.
But I can tell you, my back lawn is not looking great at all. It's like, it's dry and parched after a week and a half, and then a month's worth of rain fell on it in 1 day on Sunday, and then basically the same yesterday. I think it was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it is mad.
Yeah, but got a barbecue at the weekend. That was nice. Some cooked meats, some cider, and some beer was consumed. Much variety ensued. It was great. You guys did everything good?
Yeah, just working away, doing various sketch projects, hopefully wrapping them up quite soon. Mm-hmm. So I can move on to other things, other projects.
Things that you want to be doing, things that we've been talking about you doing for a considerable length of time. John,
well, for 2 years I've been talking about it, yes, but plans are afoot, yes. Writing has been done, thumbnails have been sketched, so yeah.
Oh, marvelous. I'm uber excited for you, mate.
Yeah, don't get excited.
Are you going to write the theme tune, sing the theme tune?
Are
you drawing or?
I'm writing, drawing, colouring, lettering. No, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I have offers from professional people, but obviously they will cost pennies, so we'll see.
Do as much as you can with those things, if you can do it. But yeah, no, hugely excited because hugely excited for you, John.
Excellent.
Yeah, totally excited for you, John. Yeah, what's everyone else been up to? So, did you go into any exciting pubs, Andrew? You were saying you've been out drinking and stuff, or just.
Not particularly exciting. I was at the commercial last weekend. Yeah, I've not been drinking out so much. It's like the rugby.
Sorry.
It's a dog gone mad. It's just rugby. Yeah, I was in rugby, which is always nice to pay £7 for a pint of for a can of warm cider, and that's the goods. And Edinburgh got beat, which was disappointing. Yeah, and then there's also been football as well, which has been a little bit disappointing for me and for just about everybody I know. From Celtic fans, they all seem to be happy.
Yeah. Well, last weekend was like all Leeds, and that was just like I was with Tom and Andrew and my mate Simi, and we were all watching the
It was a pretty poor game.
The playoff final, and it was just like
really?
It was shit. It was just really.
It was not great for Tom's a Leeds fan, but it wasn't a great game, wasn't it?
It was rubbish.
Yeah. Said goodbye to Jurgen Klopp. I'm not ready to talk about it
yet. Fair enough. How are you, Stu? What have you been up to, man? I feel like I've not seen you in 9 years.
Yeah, it feels like it, hasn't it? It's just the usual mixture of work, family, time for your hobbies, time to go see films. Like, I think last time I was talking about going to, like, obviously Glasgow to see Bruce Dickinson. That was like 2 weeks ago. spent an afternoon in the Redmonds pub, which is brilliant, just along from the Tenants Brewery. And to be honest, that is like a huge facility. And they do tours for like 15 quid. I think I might go to it.
The Tenants Brewery.
Yeah, it's almost like a whole street. Like they do have like great artwork on all the brick walls, and like the giant silos with the beer is just not disguised, but mocked up to like giant pints. So, but yeah, they have like storage cabins decked out to look like old-fashioned pubs. Like for like 15 quid, that might be worth the nosy, and then you go to the better pub after it.
You drink better beer though. I think I've done the Guinness tour.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of that, you get a couple of pints of Guinness, but you have to drink a pint of Tenants. Nobody wants that.
Politely take a sip. Thank you for the tour, and I'll see you later.
Yeah.
I've not been down that way, but it's if they've not got what's the is it Drygate? I've got a bit down there as well because obviously the facility's massive. They've got like a Drygate bar down there, so that's where they the BGCP run one of their events from there.
Oh.
It's like they do like a horror themed.
Oh, is it like a market thing? Yeah, I know what you're on about.
I think the Drygate place is one of their venues.
Mm-hmm. That is cool. I've been there once before, and yeah, it's just like a tap room, and one wall is obviously just this big panes of glass that looks into the brewery, so you could watch them make the beer as you're drinking it.
It's just a shit of Tenants.
That's the thing. You can watch them make the beer, but it's only aged. You know, it comes in as a cordial, and then they just mix fizzy water with it. And piss, and that's how they make Tenants lager.
Yeah, it's just a big glass wall at the urinals. You could just sit and watch.
Yeah. I've been drinking about twice since the last time I saw you guys down in Hill End. You know the Hill End Tavern. That's a total. That's an amazing brewer. That's it's quite close to where it's quite close to Andrew actually. But it is on the railway line, so obviously, like when Leven gets Leven's officially open now, isn't it?
This weekend,
yes.
This weekend,
Sunday, yeah.
So that might be something to consider, like because it's we're all in that rail line. Obviously, me and Andrew have to kind of do a weird, funky thing where we kind of either get a bus or switch at Inverkeithing, but you get off at Dalgate Bay. And it's like a 2-minute walk, and it's a fantastic pub for like proper socials and stuff. Like it's I was saying the other day, like it's the commercial, the Hill End Tavern, and I think it's at the Albert and Fruki are like the main three that always get the recognition off camera every year. Or
we normally meet in the commercial because it's kind of local for the three of us. But the Hill End for me is the better pub. It's got 2 or 3 things that make it the better pub. It's got dogs wandering around, which is always nice and friendly in a pub. It's got 2 fireplaces, so you can sit in the fire. Not in the summer, obviously, but during the winter, and you go in and if it's a bit chilly, you've got actual roaring log fires going on, which is always good. And it's got really, really good beer, like really, really good beer, and it's quite small, so. It's not full of Egypts. It's really, really good.
I love the commercial, but I was there on Saturday last week, and just when we were saying that had that beautiful weather. So going around Dunfermline on Saturday trying to find somewhere Saturday afternoon last week, finding somewhere to go and have a drink, and the Old Inn was heaving. The creepy wee pub was at which is on at Maygate, so it's near the little Shop of Heroes and near Cowden and Craft Beer Merchant, but that was absolutely hoaching as well. So eventually ended up in the commercial, but I forget how the commercial doesn't have a beer garden for one.
Yeah.
And it was busy. It's absolutely roasting, and they don't really have ventilation in that place. So even though it's like my favorite pub in the entire world, it can be quite a challenging place in the summer, and that actually defeats the purpose of going for a social drink, doesn't it? If you're like sweating and not very comfortable in your pub, so
I think
it's a bit of a shame.
Dunfermline's lacking really decent beer gardens. I think it's no, they're only many. I'm off the top of my head. I'm trying to think. You've got the Dash. If it's back open, had somewhere outside.
The Dash is back open, and they've invited us around. I need to chase that up. So the Dash has been reopened recently by Chloe, who's the manageress there, is a friend. So she said, like, at any point we've just to get in touch and we can do Brewgooder events from there again. Which obviously we did one before, and it was really well received. So nice to do something like that.
Just do a live event for the 4 hours. Would be good. We can all get together and converse. Not like this.
Hopefully, talking about live events. Hopefully, we'll be able to do some live stuff next weekend. I've found out the very heartbreaking news that I'm probably going to have to drive to Dundee Brewfest. So, but which is annoying, but also means I could probably spend a wee bit more time actually making sure our videos aren't just us absolutely hammered, which is usually what happens when we do it.
Is that next weekend? Is it?
A week on Saturday, so like I'm gonna have to drive up to make it up and down. So I'll take lifts. I think Stu's joining us, aren't you? Stu, you're doing
yes, I've got the hop run at 2:30. Once that's done, I'm gonna fire through. I've booked a room in Dundee, so I'll have a quick shower and change, and then I'll be around for the evening session.
Are you staying overnight then?
Yeah, just my wife's coming with me, so we're just going to make a night of it rather than trying to figure out trains.
Well, I'll get all the details off of it. Like, sorry, Brewgooder stuff, because we have to give them all our guest list so they can, they know which one of us are coming in. So I'll make sure we're all added and plus ones and stuff. So Tom's coming up as well. So Tom's coming up for the afternoon session. So that'll be good. Anyone that's seen me, Andrew, and Tom doing the football podcasty thing that we sometimes do.
Didn't do enough this year. I think we only did a couple of them. We should really have done more of them.
We absolutely need to. But also, so Tom's going to come up for the afternoon. We've been asked to run a quiz on both sessions, but I got a wee bit stressed, so I was chatting to the guy that ran the event, and I was like, "Oh my God, like, what do you need us to do for that?" And he was like, "I'm literally just going to set you up in like the foyer for an hour." He's like, "If it doesn't take you that long, it doesn't take you that long," and stuff like that. He's like, "But just don't make it too complicated, otherwise, it is a beer festival." So I was like, "Okay,
we should do a Brewgooder special one, like top 5 Jeffs."
Yeah, no, we should absolutely do that. I was just going to do 20 questions and make them totally random, and then I've got a couple of the. I was asking what they wanted, how they wanted prizes to work out, and they're like, they are going to try and issue a couple. Obviously they've got all the breweries there, so they're like, we'll try and scoop up a couple of prizes if you can provide something. So I've got like stuff left over from like unclaimed raffle prizes from Decaf and stuff like that. So which is cool because I've got a couple, and I've still got a couple of those DC Thompson books as well. So we've obviously been in Dundee, that's quite apt. So that'd be really cool. So come up to Dundee Brewfest. It's a week on Saturday. It's the 8th. And there's some incredible breweries from sort of the east of Scotland going to be there. The Edinburgh Cider Company are coming as well. So if you're into tractor wine, you can come up and have a.
I am a cider drinker.
Exactly. So that should be good. What's your drinking just now? What was that?
No, I was a cider drinker. Nobody apart from me and John remembers the Wurzels. You guys are too young. But John knows what I'm talking about.
I've heard those words, but that's about it.
The Wurzels. Do you know the Wurzels? Not so much the Wurzels, but it was 44 years yesterday that the very first episode of Wurzel Gummidge appeared on TV in 1979.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, I was 7. And I'm slightly too young to remember John Pertwee as Doctor Who, although for my brother he was like the Doctor. For me it was Tom Baker obviously, but Wurzel Gummidge was a staple of my childhood, and Aunt Sally.
Yeah. And Sally, yeah.
And both main characters sadly no longer with us anymore. John Pertwee for many years, and then Una Stubbs, was it?
Yeah.
Una Stubbs just still the last couple of years or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know she passed.
Oh yeah. Most you young lads will know her. She was in Sherlock. She played
Sherlock,
Mrs. What's his housekeeper called?
Mrs. Woman.
Mrs. Woman. She played Mrs. Woman from downstairs.
Oh, I thought got put into that character then.
I know. That's horrendous. I just watched Sherlock Holmes the other day as well.
Yeah.
I think you suggested that Mrs. Woman's a really rubbish character name, but I was watching Interstellar recently. One of my favorite movies, and Matt Damon's character, and you know what his name is?
Yeah.
What?
Christ, what was
He's
that
Dr. Mann, right? Dr. Mann spelled M-A-N-N, but his first name's Hugh.
Hugh Mann.
Oh.
It's based on a Isaac Asimov story or something like that.
Well done.
He thought he was cleverer than he is. Someone's came in with the comments and let us know it was Mrs. Hudson.
Oh, there you go, Mrs. Hudson.
Yeah, who was lovely. Great character. Great show. Benedict Cumberbatch at his absolute best.
Yes.
Benedict Cabbage Patch. What are we drinking for beers just now? I have this beautiful Alphabet just to wet the whistle Kolsch. What are you fucking drinking, Carlsberg?
I quite like Carlsberg, but I haven't had time to pick up something new and unusual, and nor do I get them delivered every month anymore. So basically, my choices for today was Belhaven Best, Guinness, or Carlsberg, because that's what I've got in the house. All good beers, but Belhaven and Guinness are really Thursday night beers. I'd end up having 6 and singing in the garden at 11 o'clock at night, and that's good when I'm up at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning and expected to be in meetings with some very serious people, because health and safety is very serious. Very
was that up at 8? I just heard there. Yeah.
I start at 8.
I was going to say that you get up at 8. Holy shit!
No, God, no.
I know that you're. I've been working for like an hour by that point.
Oh dear! You start at 7.
I start at 7. I'll get up at 5 every morning.
5 in the morning? That's not the morning. That's
middle of the night, man.
That is still the middle of the night.
Get up at 5, go to the toilet, sit there for half an hour, cry for a bit, go on my phone, get ready for work, come home, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, I don't know if this is just like the old middle-aged man thing, but it's like, it was a good day yesterday. It was just the normal. Got up, had a pee, had a cry.
Got up, had half a pee, waited half an hour. The rest came out.
I didn't really. Actually, always as you got older, this is obviously nothing to do with things like that. I'm up about twice during the middle of the night. It's a good job we've got an upstairs laboratory or something like that. I don't know. As you got older, it's just like, when you were younger, you could go 20 hours without having a pee. And now, no.
I love them. Have you ever seen that film, The Rock, the Michael Bay movie, The Rock, with it's a classic from the 80s. There's an amazing line in that I don't know why it always stuck with me, having seen that film like almost 20, 30 years ago now. I've seen it since I saw that movie the first time. But when they're trying to explain how Sean Connery's character is no longer going to be a threat, and he's like, and one of the characters is like, we can't let him loose. It's too dangerous. He's like, he was dangerous. He's my age now. I have to get up 3 times a night to take a piss. And it's like, that's just the justification for like why Sean Connery's not crazy anymore. And I'm like, okay.
That was one of those movies. There was this brief period in the world when, quite rightly, Nicolas Cage was the biggest star in the world, and I think it was, it was Face Off, The Rock, and Con Air.
Con Air was on
and in this order, it was The Rock, Con Air, and then Face Off.
Yeah, and at that point, it was just like he was making more money per movie than anybody else in the world.
Yep.
And everyone was like,
Yep.
it was the golden era of Nicolas Cage. Who I absolutely love Nicolas Cage. I think he's just hilarious as a human being. And
There's a golden era of Michael Bay as well. That was when Michael Bay movies were actually quite enjoyable. I would say like Bad Boys,
The
Rock,
Armageddon.
Before he ruined
down
Transformers, basically, was it?
Yeah.
Well, no, because
I
he
actually
did
watched
Pearl Harbor.
Oh yeah,
that's
Pearl
good.
Harbor. Yeah,
that was
Pearl Harbor. Was that him? Pearl Harbor, was it?
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
I watched Bad Boys on Tuesday because Bad Boys 4 is coming out next week, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to revisit the first 3 Bad Boys films, and Bad Boys 1, while it's good, runs out of steam long before the end.
Yeah.
But it's good fun though. It's the most
I
foreign
still remember that
film.
about Bad Boys 2. That would actually be exactly how I would rate Bad Boys 2. Like, starts all right, and then it's got like a 45-minute. It's like the film ends, and then they stick another 40-minute movie onto the end of it.
Bad Boys 2 is 2.5 hours long. Yeah.
Being chased by like the military by the end of it. Like,
in Cuba, don't they? They're not driving to.
Yeah.
They're not trying like outrun the Cuban military. Having been on holiday in Cuba, I can attest that running away from the Cuban military is probably not that hard. But aye, that's fine. So how was the new Bad Boys? Are you not seen it yet?
It's not out yet. No, it's out next week. So I'm going to watch Bad Boys 2 and 3 next week, I think, in preparation for the new one.
We talked about obviously another movie earlier on, but remakes and sequels. I seen a poster for Lethal Weapon 5 popped up on my feed this morning, and apparently that's in pre-production. They're going to
Has
do
been
it
for years. Has been for years. Yeah.
You would think I mean, no offense to him, but can Danny Glover even walk anymore? I think I don't.
He actually is too old for this shit.
Danny Glover now. He was retired.
Do you know Danny Glover? Do you know we are older than Danny Glover was in the first Lethal Weapon film?
In the first one, he was going to retire. That was his whole
thing.
He was 39 years old.
Yeah.
1982 or something like that, wasn't it?
87, I think.
Right. So
2 was 89.
37 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was going to retire. That would make him, like now, in this next movie, he would be like 85, 90, something like that.
Yeah.
Wow. I quite like the. Did anyone watch the Lethal Weapon TV show?
No.
I quite liked it. And then they killed off like the about halfway through season 2. I think I can't remember why, but the guy that was playing Mel Gibson's character wasn't on the show anymore, and they replaced him with the guy that plays Stifler in American Pie.
Yeah.
But like,
there was behind the scenes
off one of the leads.
Behind the scenes shenanigans. Yeah, the guy was a bit of a loose cannon behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So yeah, he got written off.
They killed Riggs off in the TV show.
Stifler's mum. Who did he play in American Pie? Was he Stifler?
Stifler. Yeah, what's from William Scott?
Yeah,
William Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't play Stifler's mum.
No. she's in.
White Lotus.
The show that everyone dreams of.
Aye, White Lotus. Aye.
Never watched it.
That is a great show. I watched it last summer. They're filming a 3rd season just now. I'm not sure what delayed it, but
she's the only connecting part, isn't she?
Aye. It's the shows take place at more or less a White Lotus hotel resorts. So one was in, like, let's say, Hawaii, and then the next one was in Italy, and she just happens to have went from one resort to the other. So she shows up at like the end of the first episode in season 2, connecting the two. And it's like 4 years later, so she's got like an assistant, she's newly married and things like that. But still, 2 really, really great TV shows. Like that first season, binge watched it in 2 nights. And these were almost like 40, 50-minute episodes.
Yeah.
But it was just like, nah, we're stuck. We have to find out what happens.
It is a show. I watched 1 episode, and
it's good.
I was like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this is for me.
It doesn't outstate its welcome. It's got that like I want it like unless I'm misremembering, but season 1's only about 6 or 7 episodes. So it's like, is that right? So you get through like the mystery, and sometimes if you're like if a TV series runs to like 9 or 10 episodes, you just feel like they're wading through it, or they're doggy paddling through like episode 6.
Put some padding in there.
Padding.
I had the thing where if TV shows run too long, I get things like that. I had a show. I'm a big fan, as I've said previously, of Joel Kinnaman. And I think the first thing I seen him in was the American version of The Body, the remake. And it was, was it The Body?
The Killing.
Sorry?
The Killing.
The Killing, I beg your pardon. Sorry, what was The Body? Was The Body the one on the bridge or something like that? Or was that The Bridge or something?
That was called The Bridge.
Anyway, yeah, the American version of The Killing. And I watched the entire first season, and it was like 20 episodes to find out a thing like that. And they didn't give you they went, next season on. And it was halfway through season 2 before they let you know who the bad guy was from the first season. And it was just such a grab.
Yeah.
Trying to keep
Game of
people
Thrones, where they kept promising that winter is coming.
Yeah.
It was about 6 seasons, and then there's finally some snow.
6 seasons and a movie.
Is The Killing the one with the Am I remember? Is The Killing the one like the original had a Scully in it, and it was about the guy? Am I remembering that correctly?
No.
What's the one? What's the one
that
was
like a Norwegian crime?
There was actually a slight connection there because the original was Norwegian. The American version had an actress in it who played the same character as Gillian Anderson did when she was in the movie version of Hannah. And the actress there played the same character in the TV version of Hannah, which also had Joel Kinnaman in it, who played the Eric Bana part. Anyone seen Hannah, the TV show or the movie?
I've seen the movie, yeah.
Familiar
Kate
with
Blanchett,
it.
Yeah, Kate Blanchett?
Full circle, Andrew.
Kate Blanchett. No, Kate Blanchett.
Gillian Anderson.
Kate Blanchett.
Sure?
Yeah.
Now we've lost it.
I feel so mad.
Trust me, if it was Gillian Anderson, I would know.
That circle was going perfect, then went.
Well, Joel Kinnaman was in The Killing, and with the same girl who was the main character in The Killing, and then she was also the story character who was the Kate Blanchett character, not the Gillian Anderson character, in the TV version of Hannah. But I did where I was going with that. But The Killing didn't let you know who killed Laura, whatever her name was. And that was enough for me to say. See you. As big a fan of Joel Kinnaman as I am, couldn't do it. Never made a bad TV show.
I've never heard Joel Kinnaman's name being announced so many times in like.
A man crush on Joel Kinnaman.
I actually can't place him. I don't think I've seen anything.
He's the lead in season 1 of Altered Carbon.
He's Rick Flag in Suicide Squad.
He's Rick Flag in the Suicide Squad. He was the lead the male lead in season 1 of Hannah. For All Mankind, the Apple TV show. The remake of RoboCop. He was
Was he like the RoboCop?
He was actually RoboCop.
He was.
Yeah. It's like
he's very good, joking.
I want them like, you know how like we went through, like we've done remakes. Like, you know how we're now in the era of like legacy sequels, like Bad Boys and like the Jurassic Park movies, and I want a legacy RoboCop. Like I want like Paul Weller back and like Nancy Allen.
Peter Weller.
Peter Weller, sorry.
Paul Weller would be singing.
Paul Weller back. Sorry. Spoilers. No, Peter Weller and Nancy Allen and Kurtwood Smith. Well, you can't get Kurtwood Smith back because his character, spoilers for a 1987 movie, didn't survive the movie. But
no, but they should do him as a cameo as his character from that 70s show. Just bring him on as Red. That'd be amazing. Just call everybody a dumbass.
I love Kurtwood Smith, and I think like most people, my introduction to Kurtwood Smith was RoboCop. So then I was absolutely obsessed with that 70s show when it was on Trouble when I was like in my teens, and just to see him play such a tonally different character was like, but not quite, because he was still sort of like Clarence Boddicker, but without the murder and and the cocaine, but he was still like.
But now a father figure.
I think
The weird one from it. So the weird one for me was he played the Federation president in Star Trek
yeah,
6.
totally.
So if you
and
Google
then
that, it looks completely weird.
I will say that when all the great comedies, and I'm not saying that 70s show is up there with The Office or something like that, but all the great comedies have got one standout character. You know, like your Dwight from The Office, or you know, Ron Swanson from Parks and Recreation and stuff like that, and Red. And it's just there's a juxtaposition there of Red and what's his wife's name?
Kitty.
Kitty.
Sorry.
You just
Kitty,
could never see them getting together. They're just such tonally different people. That how did they ever decide? Yeah, we'll get married. But they're both.
They have some really amazing. They have some really amazing little moments as characters in that 70s show. Just those two actors. There's a couple of moments where like he's like he's just good, like really really nice, and like that's great. I think that 70s show is up there. I would put that up there. Maybe it was just I was 17 when I discovered it, and it was like, you know, tonally and like it was like my kind of folk that I probably would have hung around with at high school, doing the kind of stuff that I would have done at high school, listening to the kind of music. It was just kind of like, it was just like time capsule for me, because I did try to rewatch it when it was on, when you could watch it all on Netflix for a while before they found out. Unfortunately, one of the guys was a wrong-in, which was really annoying because, for everybody. But it was such a well-casted show to have like somebody in that be found out to not be very nice was quite brilliant.
Yeah, my son's a massive fan of is it The Ranch?
Yeah,
there was a show the other day, and yeah, it does colour you whenever you watch somebody, and you know they've turned out to be a bit of a wrong. We talked about music and stuff like that as well.
Oh yeah.
You know, it can destroy your things, but
it's a Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley was another one that caught me because one of the boys in that.
T.J. Miller. I'm not sure exactly what T.J. Miller did, though. I mean, I think obviously he was written out of there for things that he said or things that he alleged.
Yeah. But, I think he turned out just to be a bit of a loose cannon.
Yeah.
I think he called in like a bomb threat on a train because he fell out with someone in first class.
He was that character that I talk about, that one character that kind of was the best part of it in Silicon Valley. Although the other guy, the guy who's in Spider-Man,
Martin Starr,
Martin Starr,
he's also very very good.
He's good in anything.
Yeah,
freaks and geeks, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Martin Starr, put him in something. Yeah, guaranteed.
He's in that Tulsa King of Tulsa with Sylvester Stallone.
I've never seen that.
He runs the first thing that he takes over, doesn't he? Yeah.
Is he playing Guilfoyle more or less?
He's still playing Guilfoyle with the same character.
He's not. He plays him. He plays more like a wet blanket kind of. He basically he's the manager of like a cannabis, you know, in places in America where they're done like pharmacies.
Oh, dispensary.
Dispensary. I can't remember the word there. He runs the cannabis dispensary that basically Sylvester Stallone's character comes in and basically was like who's like, he's a gangster from like Philadelphia or New York, and he comes to Tulsa and tries to set up like a criminal enterprise, but there's like just no precedent. So he walks into the dispensary and goes up to the Guilfoyle guy and is like, I'm gonna, you know, if you give me 10% of your like earnings, I'll keep you safe. And he's like, this is Tulsa. There's like no crime. It's just a really funny dynamic.
It's a show I couldn't get into. Again, I was like, you talked about remakes and reboots and things like that. I think it's fundamentally just a remake of Lilyhammer, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. Which is Stephen Van Zandt.
Which is great.
It's the same joke, isn't it? It's somebody from like the criminal underworld going somewhere where there's no crime, and then like
I'm trying to set up, try to become the connection.
Yeah, I'm needing an excuse to watch more shows on Paramount Plus. Pay $7.99 a month for that, just so my son could watch SpongeBob every night.
Well, if you're paying $7.99 for a month, and again, this is a show that I've raved about all year because I've just got into it after about 5 years that it's been on TV. Okay. Is Yellowstone.
Okay.
Yes.
There's that the Costner one?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
there's another one called Yellow Jackets.
Well, that's a different thing. That's a
Yeah. But I think that's on Paramount as well.
There's about some kids that get stranded in the mountains or on an island or something like that.
Yeah.
And turn feral.
For a second there, I thought you said in the mountains or Burnt Island.
No, on an island. I think that's basically just Lord of the Flies for the new era, I think.
Okay.
You can pretty much watch all the Star Trek stuff on Paramount.
Star Trek?
Star Trek guy.
You can watch all the Star Trek stuff. Lots to watch in that.
I know my wife is rewatching Frasier on it, but
Yellowstone is an equal series set in 1883, which is 12 episodes standalone, one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. It was in that a couple of times. It's just a year, isn't it?
Yeah, they did the second one, the 1923 one. It was Harrison Ford is the main
and Helen Mirren.
And Helen Mirren, yeah. The 1883 one, it's Sam.
Oh yeah, mustache.
Sam Elliott. Yeah. But the main character's like a country and western singer. Because who plays the main character is a country and western singer. And his wife's also a very famous country and western singer. I hate that I'm very, very bad at names. I'll get them for you, but so the main character, Tim McGraw, plays James Dutton, who's a massively popular country and western singer. Faith Hill plays his wife.
Okay.
Faith Hill, and
Faith Hill, who very famously did the song for Pearl Harbor.
I wasn't even going to say Pearl Harbor. I was going to say one of the ones we were talking about was Faith Hill as well, wasn't it? No, like Con Air or something like that.
That was Leanne Rimes.
That was Leanne Rimes.
Was it?
We know.
Yeah, I get
Get your late 90s action movie country western title track. I'm sure Faith Hill did that. Faith Hill did a song for Pearl Harbor.
What was she did the one for Pearl Harbor? Did she?
I'm sure she did. It was in that time where like every summer blockbuster required like a musical number.
Oh yeah, Armageddon with Aerosmith.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
that's
amazing.
Cracker, though. I defy anybody to not cry at that end scene when the screen goes dark and Lily Allen or Lily
Allen.
Lily Allen. Holy shit. Liv Tyler is watching her dad die. Well, the funny thing is they screened that to an audience. They showed about 50 minutes of that film. It was a big sizzle reel, and they showed it to a lot of like distributors and critics and whatnot. And it was like a 50-minute reel, and they showed that scene when she's like crying with her dad's dying and stuff, and everyone in the audience just started chuckling and laughing. And then Bruce Willis stood up at the back of the screen and was like, "Well, okay," and then walked out. They didn't know Bruce Willis was there, and they were laughing at his dad sacrificing himself. Outrageous.
It's not very famously about it. They're very famously during the making of Armageddon. Is it not Ben Affleck turned into Michael Bay at one point? It was like, I don't understand the plot to this movie. Like, would it not just make more sense for them to train the astronauts on how to be oil drillers rather than train oil drillers to be astronauts? Michael Bay just went over. Michael Bay just went over to Ben Affleck, was like, "Shut the fuck up," and that was it. That was just like.
Do you want to be in Transformers?
It wasn't.
Yeah,
exactly.
You'd be like, "Shut the fuck up!" Like, I made
that's
you
shut the fuck up.
That
was his reward for not. I think that was his reward for shutting the fuck up, was not being in Transformers. Like, just like, "Do you want to be in Transformers? I will put you in Transformers if you keep ruining my movie."
He put him in Pearl Harbor. People like, look what I did to
that was his punishment
his name
for
is.
questioning
This
him.
career's done. I can do that to you. Who was the other main guy in Pearl Harbor, John?
Josh Hartnett.
Josh Hartnett. Look what I did to Josh Hartnett.
And Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was supposed to be like a big, that was supposed to be the big, I remember reading Empire magazine round about that time, and they genuinely thought like Pearl Harbor was going to be it was like the next Saving Private Ryan in terms of like how well they thought it was going to do, and like they genuinely thought it was going to be like Oscar baity.
Yeah, the advertising campaign was pretty epic. I was working in cinemas back then, and it was everywhere. It was posters, the trailers were well made, but then obviously they couldn't just have Pearl Harbor. They had to have the Americans go back and then win at the end. They couldn't just deal with the Pearl Harbor. They tacked on the extra 40 minutes, and people were like, "What the hell?" But yeah, they were trying to do for Pearl Harbor what Titanic did for love stories, doomed love stories, and it was like, no, people don't want to see that.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck chucking a necklace in the sea at the end.
Fuck you!
Fuck you, Michael Bay.
It's that American thing though. It's like, I would have to win in the end. But there was no American winners in Pearl Harbor. It's like, you can't have you going at the end and destroying all the Japanese thingies. It was a sneak attack. And, no. Wait a minute.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, should we talk very, very quickly about the beer, because we kind of missed that? Like, we just went into it.
Oh yeah, 40 minutes.
Before we went to air, me and Andrew had quite a brief conversation about how we need to try and stay away from going on tangents, and I think that's this episode, because we've not seen each other in so long, has been a tangent. What was that cool beer that you held up, Stu?
It is Road Triffin. An extra pale ale from Bull House Brew Co.
Brewed and canned in Belfast.
Yeah.
Did you get that when you were in Belfast?
No, it was. I recognised. I took note of the brewery, and then I ordered like a bruiser box. So I got 10 beers and a pint glass. So I'll be showing you like a lot of those beers over the next few weeks. But really, like, there's a really nice quality to their beers. They're just, it's like a higher quality than like some of the Scottish craft beers I've had recently, or like supermarket beers. Like, you could tell, like, it's a really nice drink. So, but yeah, like, pretty much evaporated in this glass.
Really? That's amazing. Talk about breweries and that over here and stuff like that. I saw Top Rope is closing down.
Yeah, that
was obviously like we had a bit of a soft spot for that brewery, because they were the wrestle. When they originally started out, they had their whole vibe was wrestling, and they would do like tap takeovers during like wrestling pay-per-views, and they would then in their brewery I'm sure they put on a wrestling show in their brewery once, and then they had wrestlers come and doing like spoken like Q&As while they were drinking beer. But for whatever reason, it's just kind of like, just for like, it's just in our brewery. It's a bit sad. You're starting to notice like you see the quality and like I've had a couple of craft beers, like local craft beers, and I've been like, oh, this isn't amazing. Like, or I remember when this used to be like a proper event, like getting excited about getting something from a brewery. I don't know if there's an issue with ingredients or just like the passion and the time requirement just isn't there anymore to make like beers totally quality. But I've not been overly impressed with anything local recently, to be honest.
I think craft beer used to be because people treated it as a craft. Like a lot of the smaller beers it wasn't their full-time job, it was something they were doing and things like that. And we had this explosion of small craft breweries, making it turn it into a business. But then that's sort of, we've said this before, you end up just with a massive load of planned similar beers. So yeah, I think there's a contraction going on at the moment. There's less breweries and stuff like this. You hope it go back to where it was. We've talked about the bad old days when 95% of all beer sold in this country came from one of I think 4 breweries.
Yeah.
So you can hope we're not going back to those days, but at the same time, maybe we can't afford to have. Fife can't afford to have 10 craft breweries in Fife. There's just not enough business for it.
We used to be mad. Like when this podcast first started, I remember like getting to maybe episode 10 before me and Colin had. Like I think we were able to know that there was like beef, but just like Beef Brewing, Innerby, the Brew Shed,
Cool brewing.
Cool, yeah, Cool. There was another one out. Is it New Barn? No, there was a brewery out sort of St Andrews area.
Oh yeah,
we kept it in Fife for
Stone. Yeah.
Oven Stone is what I was thinking of, yeah. But it was we were able to keep it in Fife. Seven Kings Brewery. We're based in Dunfermline for a wee while, but we were able to like for the first like dozen episodes we were able to keep at least one of our beers per episode in Fife, and I don't think we can do that now. Like even if we made an effort, it's just a shame. I have this. I'm drinking. This did come from a beer box. I will. It's called. What's it called? Let's see if I get the big screen. It's just to wet the whistle. Kolsch from Alphabet Brewing Company. So Kolsch is a hop from. Is that right? A hop from Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's nice. Oh, there we go. Nice. Alphabet Brewing. They were the guys that did the Juice Springsteen and the E Street Band beer. But no, they're nice brewer, nice beer. I like Kolsch. It's kind of like quite smoky hop. It's but yeah. It's funny you were saying that you're not doing the beer boxes at the moment. I did them for about 3 months because you can just get a wee collection going and then you just cancel it after that. If you remember and phone the guy and get a hold of them, you can cancel. And then the guy sounds like he's about to cry whenever you cancel on him. The beer 52 boy.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
Put out my kid's mouth.
That's another one, boys. Turn the lights off.
It's always one of those ones like, how do they stay in business?
Yeah.
You get a free case of it. If you have you get your first case free, and then you get a voucher for your pallet. You get a case free, and if you say you're going to leave, they give you a free case. I got multiple vouchers for my Christmas this year. I've got to say, if I'm only just stopped buying me. Like, if you're going to get me a voucher, get me an Amazon voucher or something like that. Even though we're feeding.
They recognise the postcodes as well. So like, I got a free box, and then Claire was going to set up an account and just used my golden ticket, and they wouldn't let her have it because she had the same postcode as me and the same second name, and they were just like. And even Claire was it was like going to throw in the whole thing. So no, like I want my own beer box. Like you don't know anything about like my home circumstances. But it was like, no, we don't do two accounts to one.
Same households, yeah.
For that reason, I think so that because you just pass the golden ticket around like all the adults in your block if you wanted to.
Exactly, that's where you want to really befriend your neighbours.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just about to open a coffee pale ale from
I'll say snap because I've opened a fierce beer as well. That's the Pilsner.
Oh, lovely.
Look how fucking nice this can is.
Yeah,
I can understand a coffee porter, but not a coffee pale. I didn't understand that at all. I don't know why you would do that.
I think it was to get mixed with like a donut pale they did at the same time.
Yeah, but why would you eat a donut pale? Are you trying to wind me up? Donut pale.
I had 2 donut sours last night.
Donut sour
for a video, and they were deliberately meant to be mixed together.
Donut sours.
Yeah. One was a lemon drizzle, and the other was a vanilla and blueberry. From Vault City, funnily enough. 2 4% sours. Then you poured them together, and it made an even better beer.
It would be hard pushed to make a worse beer.
Let's get off that fence, son. I that was a gift. That's why I've got that one. That was a gift. and that's nice. It's just it's a really bitter pale ale. So pale ale, I associate pale ales with being quite citrusy and quite.
Probably because you've not added like milk and sugar.
Did I? That's nice.
I didn't understand iced coffee either, although I do drink iced tea. People who drink iced coffee and things like this.
No, I love an iced coffee. Like, see when it's like really hot.
When you get the ones out of like Lidl's, it's like like 70 pence little iced coffee.
Yeah, they're nice. Like,
there you go.
I hope to make a fortune off of iced coffee in the next couple of years. So you better.
Yeah, this goes back to what I was saying to John earlier on. I'm very excited about what's in store for the future. You started doing the work necessary to get your
just bits and bobs. That'll be exciting stuff.
We'll discuss that off. I'm sure.
Watch the space.
Okay. Andrew, I don't have any aspirational life goals as yet, but I hope you will support me in them when they do happen.
I'll support you guys 100% wholeheartedly. I think everybody who knows me knows that if you've got a business, I'll invest in it. I'll support you. I'll buy your book, David Crana, if you're watching. I think I've bought every book that any of my friends has ever made. Well, they've been my friends. If they've become not my friends,
yeah. Talk about friends that made books. Like I've still not. I was away last week, so I never got time to check it out. But it was the launch of the Dunfermline comic, the Dunfermline story that Colin has worked that word. He's worked very hard, tirelessly. But I heard the launch to that was absolutely amazing. You know, Colin and Paul and Sharon Sorensen and Michael Philp were all doing a signing in Dunfermline last week for it. And it's Brews Fest this weekend in Dunfermline, the 750th birthday of Robert the Bruce this weekend, and they're going to be selling the Dunfermline comic there as well. So if you're in Dunfermline,
right there, obviously.
I love it.
Direct descendant.
Of course.
Exactly.
Of Bruce.
Is there not? Are we not all like a direct descendant of the Bruce? Is he not got the whole thing that like
he's just a
he's a bit like?
Do you know?
He's a bit like if you're a certain if you've all got links to is it Genghis Khan? Like because he was Madden. Like we've all got you know, like you can. I think if you're from Scotland, you can trace your blood back to Robert the Bruce because he was a mad shagger.
Possibly, I did actually an ancestry where you can go back and do your family tree. I did go back and I can think it to James IV, one of the Stuart kings. But again, because you're going back 500 years, almost everyone in Scotland can probably has one of the Stuart kings somewhere in their ancestry. Kane Peel did a great, Kane Peel.
Yeah.
They did a great sketch on Ancestry, like a mock advert for Ancestry UK, where every white person was saying, you know, I'm descended from this one, I'm descended from this one, I'm descended from this one. And people just kept on coming on his characters saying they were descended from Thomas Jefferson, who apparently was a mad shagger and in certain ways. Very funny. Probably very politically correct, but very funny.
I'm just reading here. You can the Telegraph are saying anybody in Scotland can work. Any man in Scotland can work out if they're related to Robert the Bruce. There's a way to do it, just because he's got a rare genetic chromosome thing happening. But like apparently, like loads of folk in Scotland are related to Robert the Bruce. Like you say, because it's so far back in 750 years, and because he was a bit of a mad shagger, like anybody can, if you can find this chromosome, you are related in some route to Robert the Bruce, and apparently loads of folk in Scotland have it.
It's a numbers thing. There was only like maybe 50,000 people lived in the entirety of Scotland, in the 12th century or 13th century. So if your family comes from there, my family doesn't really come. Well, it does come from Scotland, but mixture of Scotland and Ireland, depending on the side that you come from. The Big E side's Irish, but the other side's Scottish. So yeah, probably Robert the Bruce. one of the one of the Jacobite kings, John Knox, probably. I don't know.
Genghis Khan. Apparently, we're all related to Genghis Khan
Yeah,
because he
again,
was in that Shagger. Like,
30 wives and 500 concubines and things like that. And whenever they conquered everywhere, like from Europe through to the
Every woman that stood in front of him.
yeah, and many
yeah,
horses.
I'm conquering you.
Imagine the extension on that bedpost.
There's a great show years ago, and I don't know if it was Genghis Khan or Kublai Khan, but the guy who's the guy Benedict Wong played Genghis Khan. I think it was Marco Polo, possibly, was the show.
Oh yeah, it was like a Netflix.
I remember that was true.
Yeah, and Benedict Wong was either Genghis Khan or Kublai Khan. Kublai Khan was his son, wasn't he?
The best Khan's the one in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. That's the best. That's the best Genghis Khan.
That's the best Khan.
The best Khan is the Wrath of Khan from Star Trek. Thank you very much.
The best Khan is
Khan Noonien Singh.
Noonien Singh from the second of the modern Star Trek movies with Benedict Cumberbatch playing Khan.
Spoilers for a 15-year-old film.
Yeah, it was a strange piece of casting. They tried to keep secret, but everybody knew.
Oh, yeah, it was weird.
So he's playing a character called John Harrison or something, and folk are like, yeah, that's not a thing. Yeah.
That's not a thing, guy. He's good.
Wait, his name's Hugh Man.
Look,
Exactly.
Look how much this pasty Englishman looks like Ricardo Montalban. Again, how could you not have known it was going to be him?
He's like Canley Noonien singeth and like just hiding the name, and he's not playing Can.
He was in Ricardo Montalban was one of my favourite shows growing up. It was a show called The High Chaparral. Back when Western shows. Again, I'm going back to what I was talking about with Yellowstone. I love me a Western, and he was one of the main sort of cowboys. He was a good guy though. I think the only things I've seen him in is that and Wrath of Khan, and I think he was the murderer in an episode of Columbo.
Was he not like Fantasy Island or something?
Yeah, Fantasy Island, yeah. The plane boss.
Yeah.
He was playing against Steve, wasn't he, when he was Can?
Sorry?
During the like at the time that like Wrath of Khan came out, he was playing against Type.
Yeah, he was a popular character. He was the guy from Fantasy Island. He was one of the good guy in the High Chaparral. And he can't play a bad guy. He could very, very well. That's the best of all. I think we can all agree that's the best of all the Star Trek movies. Is Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
And it's better than any Star Wars movie. I think we can all agree. It's better than any Star Wars movie.
You're just throwing out wild accusations, like wild statements.
Well,
I'm trying to think what my favourite Star Trek movie is.
I got to watch the Wrath of Khan in the presence of Mr. William Shatner. That was pretty cool. And because it's its 40th anniversary, in 2 weeks' time, Star Trek 3 is getting released back into cinemas.
Search for Spock.
Search for Spock. Nice 4K remaster, apparently. So, I might go and watch that.
Not one of the good ones.
I really dislike that movie.
Oh, 3's good.
Isn't it like famous where people say all the Star Trek films in the even numbers are good ones?
Yes.
And all the odd numbers are
Force the Voyage Home.
6 Undiscovered Country.
So weird.
8 First Contact. Yeah.
First Contact was much better.
Then you would have had the after Nemesis. Nemesis was amazing.
Nemesis was not.
It wasn't amazing.
Again, Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy is a clone.
Hardy? Oh yeah.
Yeah, we can see it. I can see it. Yeah. Was it Tom Hardy? It wasn't that. Yeah.
It was Tom Hardy. Yeah.
Was he 10?
It was before he was Tom Hardy.
Like, yeah, it was very young. Yeah.
There's a big thing at the moment about obviously the Furiosa movie's just out, and people are like, "Why didn't they get Tom Hardy to come on and do a cameo?" It's like it's set about 35 years before, the one. Is it still George Miller that made that?
Yes.
He was definitely on like the red carpet for it. But
It's the whole thing about Is the whole thing about Mad Max is that they're not linear films anyway? Is it not supposed to be like I'd read somewhere that like Mad Max films are supposed to be like they're legends told around like campfires and stuff. So like Tom Hardy could show up. Like the idea is that Max could show up anywhere because he's like he comes, does his shit, and leaves. So like he's like
the first one was slightly tonally different because the first one was taken in sort of modern before the fall.
Yeah.
By the time
I've only seen
it was full on dystopian wasteland.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the budget. The first one was
Fury Road. That's it.
Yeah. I didn't actually realise for the first
pivotal ones.
I didn't realise the first Mad Max film there was two different soundtracks. Whereby, and I mean by speaking soundtracks. You can watch it with the original Australian, or you can watch it with the American dub.
Honestly,
yeah.
I watch it in Australian with subtitles.
I watched the Australian dub. G'day, Matt. Yeah, it's true that there was the original Australian mix, and then they made it more palatable for the American audience, and they changed all the voices.
Was that about in the 80s when they made movies? Because I know that in Greystoke they dubbed over Andy McDowell character with Glenn Close.
Glenn Close, yeah.
And then famously also Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon dubbed,
Sam Jones. They
James Earl Jones for Vader as well.
Sorry?
James Earl Jones for Vader.
You can understand that because Dave Prowse had a West Country accent. He's like,
have you ever seen the dailies with the actual just regular voice?
I've heard of them, but I've no.
Oh, it's good. Commander, bring me those plans. It's like, what?
Aye, well, you're there.
I want the David Prowse. I want the David Prowse edit of.
Well, forget that. Exactly. You want the Peter Mayhew edit because Peter Mayhew as Chewbacca actually spoke lines as well for Harrison Ford to react to. Yeah. So there's a bit where Obi-Wan Kenobi is about to turn off the tractor beams, and in the film Chewbacca's like, and Chewie's like, and Han Solo's like, you said it, Chewie. But the original dialogue is Chewbacca, and you hear the voice. That old man's mad. He goes, you said it, Chewie. It's crazy. You can see them all on YouTube. It's great.
Amazing. New Star Wars show out this week, which is getting a lot of thingies because the guy who plays Chewbacca now, Jonas
Sumathru or something like that. Yeah,
he's in the new show as a different Wookiee. Risks being a wee bit typecast, but I don't. There's many 7-foot actors out there, but he's the first on-screen Wookiee Jedi, apparently.
Yeah, and the Acolyte. Yeah.
In Acolyte, yeah.
I'll check it out.
Acolyte predates all other Star Wars media, isn't it? Like, isn't it canon?
Is it? I did not know.
I think it's about 100 years before the Skywalker saga. Yeah, so.
Okay.
Yeah. So in Canada, it's the earliest that you ever see
something new. This is. I think I'd quite like to see something new.
Yeah.
No Empire, no Darth Vader. No reference to the Clone Wars. I want older ships and Jedi doing what they need to do. No mention of midichlorians. They can
get the
I'm trying what have folk been watching the last couple of weeks? Has anybody caught anything exciting?
I've just finished. Can I just say because as a proud Fifer, I've just finished watching Rebus, the new BBC adaptation of Rebus. And Fife doesn't come over well in it. Like, for a start, they've got this family living in the worst, most horrible looking scheme you've ever seen. And they refer to it as Fife. They never talk about whether it's Kirkcaldy, Dunfermline. They just, if you watched this show and you weren't aware of the area, you would think Fife was a mining village just outside Edinburgh. Come for Fife, look at it, it's a fucking shithole. But the guy, I couldn't get over it because the guy who plays Rebus now is the DJ Hottie Foxtrot from Burniston. You know the Burniston Council sketch where they were like the shithole.
Yeah,
he's that guy. So it was, I think, but apart from that, all support Scottish-made things, and you can actually see my office, my workplace, in a few of the scenes.
I quite like it when they film shows like that and set films, and I always loved like when John Hannah did Rebus and stuff. But also like I quite like when the BBC do these like Scottish set dramas, and it's like in places that you sort of know. I do like
just over the road from here. They would come over to Fife, and in one scene they did a long shot of them going over the Queensferry crossing, quite obviously heading to Edinburgh, and then they did the interior of the car, and they were obviously heading over the other way. But then one of the scenes had them driving along just over the road, heading along to the docks there. So yeah, just over there.
They did is it Stonemouth? They did an Ian Banks. They did a dramatisation of Ian Banks' Stonemouth, and they filmed loads of it in South Queensferry, round about the area where the old where the Forth Road Bridge was, but like round about there, and like the round just like underneath the struts of the bridge, like that are in South Queensferry. And then they would drive over the bridge to go to Stonemouth, and then Stonemouth was, I think, all filmed in like Peterhead or something like that. So it was totally weird, like watching it, like thinking like
Rebus had like what a load of the scenes took place at a lock-up, a garage, basically under the Forth Rail Bridge on this side of the river. Yeah. And it's like I've walked my dog past that, and I know that, so you'll recognise it if you see it. But yeah,
Deep Sea World in
that. Yeah, I watched that this week.
I finished X-Men 97 last week. I think it was last week that came out. It's just 10 episodes of perfection. Like it was such a great show. Like it's so good.
It was so good. So good. They've sacked the lead writer.
Yeah.
Apparently it was difficult. Yeah. He was difficult to work with. But yeah. It's what he put together was a good show.
For Hitchcock.
Yeah. But no, if anyone's not seen it yet, I suggest to go and see it. Just very, very clever, even down to like changing the roster on the opening credits based on what had happened in the episode before, or changing the appearance of X-Men based on plot differences, and just really, really clever. Like, just really, really well written. Like, and set up a second season. I can't remember who I'd asked a few people if it ties into the way it was kind of filmed. I thought it was maybe, or the way it was animated, I thought they'd kind of implied that there might be a tie-in to Deadpool coming up, but I don't think that's the case. I think a lot of folk are saying no, it's not canon at all. It exists in its own corner of the universe. So I thought the way they filmed the way they scripted, and keep saying filmed and it's a cartoon, but the way they framed the last couple of scenes, I thought they could have opened it up to.
I think I was reading an article that they're trying to sort of move away from that, having everything take part in the same uniform, the MCU, because it honors some people to watch everything that came out, and it's damaging people into watching the shows and things like this. So I think they're going to move back to where they were kind of in the Netflix area, where they're kind of tangentially connected, but not specifically the same.
Even just the early phases of the MCU are fine, where you know they all exist, but together, but you don't need to, because like certainly last year they got to the point where you're like, with the Marvels in particular, you needed to have seen loads before you went in to see the Marvels, and I think nobody went to see the Marvels because they were like, I can't be bothered watching any of these stuff, so it's just another thing. So
there's a wee bit of that fatigue going on as well. I mean, the Marvels in particular, great lead characters, don't get me wrong, but the sort of bad guy character was the most forgettable bad guy character of any Marvel movie I've seen so far.
Yeah.
The story was, it feels like they should take a couple of years off and then maybe relaunch. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, this year the only MCU movie is Deadpool.
At one point at the height, they would not have like either 3 or 4.
Yeah, they're having 3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah.
And
There's
multiple
always-
TV shows. And,
It
yeah.
was
Plus
2,
TV shows,
3,
things like that.
yeah.
Yeah, there was something Marvel happening all the time, though, wasn't there? There was like
Mhm.
there was a movie, then there was like 12 weeks where you had a show, and then you maybe had a week off before the next movie, and it was like, oh my god.
It was like an
Yeah.
event. It was like something big to look forward to.
I think Endgame, or what was the last one? Endgame on Infinity War, the last Avengers.
Endgame, yeah.
Endgame.
Yeah.
I think I kind of just wrapped it up for a lot of people. And it was, I mean, it's such a tour de force of a movie, but
Yeah.
everyone was in it. And,
Mhm.
you know, it wrapped
Probably
up
like
so many different character arcs.
50% of the audience cashed out there and then.
I
Yeah.
can totally understand why, because nothing they've done since. And obviously they've had problems with, again, you talk about lead actors being wrong. They put their money on somebody being the big bad guy, the new Thanos.
Mhm.
And now they're having to pivot away from that desperately.
I think they'll manage. Like you say, I think taking a wee bit of time off it, like even just taking your foot off the accelerator a wee bit this year. I think Fantastic Four, from what I've heard, Fantastic Four is going to bring in a couple of alternative big bads, and that'll be fine. But they do probably just need to write off this phase.
Yeah, well, they're bringing in the best goddamn salesman that Werner Hogg has ever seen to play Galactus. Nobody.
No, who've they got playing?
The guy who plays Galactus was David.
Oh, yeah, yes, yeah. Finchy.
Ralph Finchy from The
Finchy,
Office.
yeah.
Ralph.
Got
Yeah,
the
I've got
most
his name as well.
graveliest voice known to man.
He's
Yeah.
got that proper Yorkshire. He doesn't.
Yeah,
he doesn't
he's
look for that
Finchy,
accent.
yeah.
One that would make like Sean Bean stutter.
Yeah. And he's going to be Galactus, and I just, and part of me's like, listen, I like the guy. He's got a great voice, played some great characters, but is this what I want Galactus to stop and have a cup of tea? Get his cup of tea, lad, and let's whip it for a walk. I'm horribly racist towards Yorkshire people, am I?
They'll have him put on a voice, you know. It's like when the cats.
He's got a voice. I mean, he's Mr. Voiceover, isn't he? He's got
Yeah,
that voice. So
yeah.
Before we pivot away though, like we thought it would be quite fun to put on. So just before we went to air, they announced at time of recording. They announced the bucket, talking about Wolverine and Deadpool. The obviously cinema popcorn buckets are like for a film. This film's going to be so massive that you're getting trailers for the popcorn receptacle.
Yeah.
Yes.
I blame June.
Yeah, there's been a lot of popcorn boxes like Ghostbusters and Indiana Jones, and they're all very, very popular. But the June one, it was
People
essentially it was a fleshlight.
people wanted to commit hate crimes on this bucket.
Surely not.
Mm.
People were salting the popcorn themselves.
Oh, 10 out of 2 far. 10 out of 2 far.
Oh man, I quite like it. Like, I like the wee mix of like I don't remember, like John, you be able to tell us about having worked in the cinema, but I worked in the cinema briefly. I don't remember them gimmicking up the snacks to match the movies.
You've always had plastic containers for drinks.
Yeah.
And you would always get a plastic container that you would buy. It was a reusable run. You could pay an extra £1 for the reusable plastic.
Yeah, sometimes, depending on what it is,
And sometimes you would get popcorn containers. They were still cardboard though, but they would be printed with the movie.
They'd be branded, yeah. There's nothing this extreme. There's nothing so ornate, and even the popcorn boxes themselves are going for like $40, you know. So yeah, it seems to be the popular collectible because it seems only certain cinema chains are doing them. So you have to go to say AMC cinemas to get this one, but you have to go to a different cinema to get this one, which is different to that one. It's like
It's
a
well paying
it's fine. Yeah.
£20 for a Godzilla and Kong popcorn bucket.
Well, I've got my Indiana Jones cup, and obviously the Taylor Swift cup. That's not mine.
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
It's not mine.
Very kind.
Yes.
So yeah,
very popular.
You've got it teed up, Jeff. Yeah.
I have it teed up, so let's get it up just now.
Yeah.
So this is the trailer. This is the trailer for
No, this is the first of us seeing this. 45 seconds long, so
So,
Here we
is
go.
there a good? Are people going to try and find it? Oh, it's got tongue. Oh, it's gross.
Absolutely horrendous.
Oh. It almost looks ceramic.
Oh, I mean,
Oh, the bar.
okay.
well.
That's horrible.
Very funny.
In the actual mouth, it's like, okay.
It almost looks one-sided. It's the fact that it's Wolverine. Yes, okay, it's designed by Deadpool, but I'd imagine people would want a Deadpool one too.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
Yeah, it's fun.
I don't know. We might get the
Then
Deadpool cup or something. That's yeah. So I imagine. Yeah, I love the gimmicky stuff. Like when I went to see June 2, they didn't have the popcorn bucket, unfortunately, but they did have like the Ghostbusters movie. The new Ghostbusters was out at that point, and I was able to get like a Slimer, was it lemon and slime ice blast?
Okay.
And it was just a lemon and lime ice blast with Slimer on the cup, and it wasn't. It was like. Yeah, I like that sort of stuff. Like I get bought over by that stuff quite easily, I'm afraid.
I mean, they had one for Kung Fu Panda 4, and it was just a giant red bowl. And then I think you were able to hang characters off the side of it. I don't feel that it is okay. But I mean, the Godzilla and Kong ones, they were selling drinking cups that had like bright pink LED lights in the base of the cup so it would light up while you're drinking. Like nothing would annoy me more in a movie than watching bright pink LEDs lighting in the bottom of people's cups as you're trying to watch big movie.
Definitely.
Yeah, but it definitely just seems to be this new thing, isn't it? It's like the cinemas are expensive enough as it is, so it's just a bit like, oh, come on now. I went to see Phantom Menace a couple of weeks ago, and that was like 20 quid just to get in. I couldn't quite believe it. I was like, this film's been out for years. What's happening? But
did they try and make any commemorative cups or buckets to go with that?
You could have extra midichlorians sprinkled on your popcorn if you wanted to. But that was about it.
Not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
No, there's nothing good about midichlorians at all. Like they're like the worst thing to happen. Let's demystify the coolest thing about one of the longest and most successful sci-fi franchises ever. It's like when you worked out, thanks to like Prometheus and that the space jockey was actually just a DJ from another planet. It's like it's 8 p.m. You're listening to Radio Saturn.
Yeah, there's another Alien film coming out this year, but
oh yeah,
no.
I saw the last one and it was pretty poor. So
I enjoyed Covenant. I mean, I have it been right here.
It's been a decent Alien movie since Aliens. Maybe Alien 3, but.
I think Alien Resurrection was the first one I watched.
I love Alien Resurrection, but then I think I saw that when I was 10, and it was one of those moments
I was probably about the same.
I'm too young to see this film, so it's just cool because it's gory and not made for me, and I'm getting to sneak and watch, and my dad's let me watch it. You know,
I was the same watching the first movie at my grand's house, unsupervised, watching it with the remote, absolute bricking it. Every time it got too intense, I quickly changed channels, and on the next channel it was snooker. I was sitting watching snooker until kind of my heart rate dropped, and then like went back. I was like, oh, it's just okay.
If he turned over just as Jimmy White was missing a black or something like that. You know, you're
And that's a bad
yeah,
mess.
those movies have just gotten worse and worse over the years. I think I don't think there's been a decent one for years. I would have said the same about Predator until last year or so, or possibly the year before.
Prey.
when Prey came out, because Prey was
Yeah,
a phenomenal movie.
cracking film.
They're doing
Have
one
you
in
seen
feudal
the-
Japan,
where it's like-
I believe, next. So
Is that real? I thought it was like a Photoshop
I've heard the
poster.
rumours.
What was
That
that?
would be really cool. I would look forward to that if it was
Yeah,
true.
next one, because Prey went down so well, they're doing a similar sort of thing based in feudal Japan.
Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. That'll just be the new gimmick now, though, isn't it? It's like it's just it's like that. It's like when they brought out it's when they brought out Logan, and then all of a sudden every superhero comic series did an old man. It's just that thing.
old man Logan, old man
Yeah.
Hawkeye, old man. Things like that.
Yeah.
My old man Logan's a phenomenal piece. But aye. Yeah.
I want them to do like an old man comic about like a not very good character that nobody really cares about.
Desperate Dan.
I was watching
Old man Desperate Dan.
Desperate Dan.
I was watching an Old Man Desperate Dan. That was
Old
awesome.
Man Bash Street Kids.
I was watching the One Show last night because it was on, and I was waiting to watch something more interesting. And Stephen Merchant and Daphne Keane were on screen together for the first time since Logan, many years ago when he played
Caliban, isn't
Caliban. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was saying, how did you get that? And he was like, they just wanted somebody that was really tall and really pale. So I didn't even have to do much work for it. All I had to do was shave my head when I was there. So
he's really good in Logan. Like I never really had a lot of time for Stephen Merchant, and sort of found him quite. I think his character, for a wee while there, his character was just to be quite overbearing and like irritating. So when I saw that he was in the Logan cast, I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. But he's actually really good. Like he does Caliban really well.
I think he's a writer rather than anything else. So when he's an actor, he was just, for a long time he was just playing like caricature versions of himself and things like extras and things like that. I've always thought he's very, very funny. Like I loved him as a writer. I loved him, and I think he's a very, very funny guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was a foil to Ricky Gervais as well. He had to be sort of less abrasive.
Yeah.
Nice. But when you get him, the podcast, and if you look at things like what is it, The Idiot Abroad, when you put Ricky Gervais and Carol Pilkington and Stephen Merchant, it's just absolute genius.
It is, yeah.
So they do these for their podcast. They put some of their podcasts on YouTube animated.
I've seen that.
It was an HBO show. There's 3 seasons of it. There's 3 seasons of it. It's the Ricky Gervais show, yeah. And the animated, yeah, it's really funny.
It's one of those things that gets like shorted quite a lot. So like on my like comedy shorts on like Instagram, I get a lot of clips from that, and it's good. I suppose because they can just trim it into like 1 minute bites, can't they? And you can get a giggle out of it.
You can take a minute talking about anything, and it's bloody
Carl's Diary, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the time. I wanted to talk about the Fall Guy really quickly because that came out the last couple of weeks. I've seen it. I've seen it as well. It's fucking brilliant. It's really funny. I don't know how Stu felt. I felt, if I want to be critical, there's some bits of the plot that are a bit kind of funny. Like it has a weird flow to it, but if you just like sit back and enjoy, and Ryan Gosling is something else. Like I enjoy Ryan Gosling in just about anything I've seen him in. And obviously he's having a weird sort of career resurgence, and since like Blade Runner, like. So I want to think it's Blade Runner 2049 that like kickstarted like a new thing in his career, and then he went and did the Barbie movie.
It was probably Barbie, but yeah, Blade Runner.
No, I think you can go back further. I think he was
Drive.
Lady. What did you say, John?
Drive.
Yeah, I was going to say Drive. I think he was the sort of good-looking leading man, romantic comedies and stuff like this, and Drive was just such a complete turnaround, and he was amazing in it. Yeah.
He's
the Fall Guy, yeah. That's on my list. The marketing for that film is fantastic. You can go on YouTube, see him and Emily Blunt have lots of chemistry together. I highly recommend, if you haven't seen it, the Ryan Gosling's SNL, his Saturday Night Live opening sketch. Very, very good. So if you like the Fall Guy, you'll love all that stuff.
Was it his SNL sketch where
playing Butthead?
Yes, he was in Butthead was on that.
That's the same episode, yeah.
I've seen it picked up in the shorts and stuff like that, where he's just basically dressed as Butthead.
But any of the sketches that he's in with Kate McKinnon, three people get interviewed.
The alien abduction.
Alien abductions, and Kate McKinnon's hilarious. And Ryan Gosling's just laughing.
Ryan Gosling's like famous for just breaking. Cannot keep a straight face.
Highly recommend.
Was there a sketch he did where he gets really upset? I saw something on YouTube Shorts where it was like he's getting upset about the fact that they use papyrus font for the Avatar movie logo. Is that it?
When Avatar came out, they did that thing years later. You couldn't go over it. It was like one of those things.
He's like James Cameron's made this multi-billion-dollar movie, and then when he's then just gone into Microsoft Word and clicked down the font options into and then there's a follow-up for the difference is you do making a new one, and they go and check the logo, and it's the same. And he's like, they're still using papyrus. Fall Guy's great, very funny. I was expecting them to. There was a couple of things I wanted. I thought the plot was a bit odd, but it's not supposed to be taken itself seriously. Like you said, the marketing for the movie was great, with some really good use of like hair metal, like your Bon Jovi kind of stuff. There isn't loads of that in the movie, but it's still quite good. I Was Made for Loving You by Kiss features extensively. But Ryan Gosling's amazing, and the kind of the running joke being that he's not very clever, but he's just amazing at stunts. And
just like me.
Just a really good joke in that, like in moments of dialogue and conversation, he's not too bright, but then when they've got him doing something like that no one else can, it's amazing.
He did like, because he did The Big Short as well, which I think is a great film.
Yes.
He was young Hercules. Let's not forget. You know what I mean? He was in Remember the Titans.
That's the one I was in.
He was one of the nice guys.
He was one of the nice guys. It was a great.
I will talk about that film until I'm blue in the face.
I know he can do comedy.
It's phenomenal. Yeah.
We talk about that as well, because the Robert Downey Jr. movie.
Kiss Bang Bang,
Bang Bang, with Val Kilmer, which is fundamentally the same story, almost the same thing.
Same director,
It's great. But it's like I don't know if you were on when I was talking about this the other week, John. I watched the new one with Henry Cavill, Argyle.
Oh, you're telling me, yeah. Sam Rockwell, yeah.
And Sam Rockwell fundamentally plays almost the same character as he played in Mr. Right. Mr. Right, which again, tragically underrated movie that not many people have seen. Sam Rockwell was one of those guys as well. I think I can't remember. Can I see it? Imagine seeing him in a bad movie.
I'm just waiting for a remake of what I've been watching recently. The Rockford Files. But a James Garner action for you there.
They should do the Rockford Files. The Rockford Files would be great.
Rockford Files, baby. I've been having a bit of
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Sorry?
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
James Garner.
James Garner, yeah. I've been having a bit of nostalgia recently, and I've been watching like Columbo, Rockford Files. So I thought, you know what? When I saw this in CEX, I've been eyeing it for a while. I picked up, and Andrew, you'll appreciate this. Street Hawk. You know what? It's not good now.
It wasn't good then, mate. It was
it already was.
Yeah.
you could see all the people that made Airwolf and the people that made Knight Rider sitting going, okay, what we're going to do next.
Basically, yeah, it was the 80s were all about super attack vehicles, Airwolf, Blue Thunder, Street Hawk. And none of them have held up well at all.
Blue Thunder was that Thunder in Paradise?
No, Blue Thunder was a police attack helicopter that would go on patrol. Originally, it was a film with Roy Schneider, and it was a TV show.
If you're thinking about Columbo, there's a show made last year with Natasha Lyonne called Poker Face.
Poker Face, yeah.
Which fundamentally she's like a female Columbo on drugs and always steaming and stuff like this. But it covers it does exactly the same way as comedy. Even the fonts that they use and the thingy and stuff like that is designed to make it look like it was made in the 1970s.
Columbo was just a one-trick pony though. Like he was like he just acted like an asshole, and then he would like always just turn around and go, just. No,
I think you didn't see it.
Just one more thing.
Columbo was always the smartest man in the room, and it was the first normal thing with murder mystery shows is that you see the murder, but you didn't see who does it, and then over the course of an entire episode, eventually the murderer is revealed. Columbo turned that on its back by revealing the murderer right at the beginning. Columbo wanders in.
It was a bit Columbo game,
I loved Columbo. I thought it was genius.
I saw an episode of Columbo last year randomly, and it had Dick Van Dyke as the baddie, and it was like, this is like Avengers Endgame for like 70s and 80s murder. I wanted what's her face to fly through the window, and like
Julia Andrews.
Johnny Cash was the bad guy in one of the episodes.
I mean, they had a great guest. William Shatner's been in it a couple of times. Dick Van Dyke, as you said. Yeah, a lot of the kind of bigger sort of 70s actors were always casting these as bad guys. Great.
Just let me go. He was always the smartest man in the room. I loved it. Peter Falk was great.
Yeah, really good.
And he plays Murder by Death, which was similar to Clue. Was it Murder by Death?
Yes, Murder by Death. Yeah,
Murder by Death. Very similar to Clue, but like you had Columbo and Hercule Poirot and Charlie Chan and all the sort of greatest things of all time in one screen. It was pretty good.
The cool if they did like I think we need to write that as a comic where it's like every like television murder detective meets on like a desert, like meets on an island, and like they all get given like I don't know, like the world's hardest puzzle to solve. Or they could just give them a weapon and make them like kill each other.
Sherlock Holmes. You could do it like the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen almost, but with detective.
for TV detective. That's fucking money, by the way.
Yeah, but the thing is, most of them are like you have to change the names because they're all still, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen only works because they're all in the public domain.
Yes,
because you could have Sherlock Holmes.
Quatermain, but that's about it,
but you couldn't have Columbo.
No,
I think that'd be quality. Like just use like giving them an unsolvable crime and then just be like, Andrews is writing about it and. Like they bring in Dick Van Dyke for like the medical examination aspect of like
Quincy.
Quincy was a classic as well.
Quincy, man, yeah.
No, let's make it happen. Is there anything like this has been I don't know, this happens every so often when we've not done a podcast in a while and it's almost like we're just catching up rather than actually
catch up episode. Yeah.
Some great trailers dropped this week. If anyone's going to look at The Bear, season 3 has dropped. The Umbrella Academy, which I think I talked about earlier, but I can't remember if that was online or not. But the Umbrella Academy final season has trailer has dropped, so we're hopefully getting that soon.
And we've got release dates for things like The Bear and that. Obviously, they've got a trailer.
End of June.
I fucking love The Bear. I'm really excited for The Bear.
Mm-hmm.
Still haven't watched it.
Guy for the Bear's cast in Fantastic Four as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
No.
Cousin
It's
Richie.
it's not him. It's his
Cousin Richie.
It's cousin Richie.
It's not the main guy. Yeah. Aye.
It's not the main guy. No, it's his cousin.
Yeah.
Is going to be Ben Gunn.
That's good. That's good casting though. He's great. Like, I think he's got the Marvel. He's got the Marvel like a glint in his eye as well. He's got the wee wink.
He's already in the Marvel universe.
Was he in? Was he in like the Punisher or something?
He was in season one of the Punisher. He was the guy who, like, Frank Castle was. He done his own life. He faked his own death.
Yeah. Okay.
Frank Castle got involved with his wife, and he was the guy. You know.
Oh, isn't this Fantastic Four supposed to be based in the 60s anyway?
Sorry?
Are they going back? Are they going back into the 60s with it?
Apparently, it looks the artwork. The show looks very retro. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be good.
They should do something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Particularly if they're going to use. I want to see skyscraper-sized Galactus. You know, I didn't want to see a swarm. I didn't want to see a normal-sized man or something like that. I want to see
a cloud and a light in the sky, like they always do with these big baddies.
Yeah. They sort of had Galactus in the second Fantastic Four movie, the Oren Griffith one.
Yeah, but you said it was a cloud. Rubbish.
The cloud, aye. And then they tried to retcon that almost into the Ultimates universe, where the Galactus was a cloud of nanobots.
Yeah, shit.
But then proper Galactus thingied along as well. So yeah. Crazy.
No, I'm excited for the bear. I'm excited for
Umbrella Academy.
They're really, really good. Like I think the Umbrella Academy's it because it's been so long between seasons. It's like I think it's folk have forgotten how good it actually is.
Yeah,
I've watched an episode.
I think I don't know what it is about TV at the moment. It used to be a case of you've got a year between seasons, and but I think Umbrella Academy's been a couple of years. When was the last Stranger Things? Stranger Things must be like 3 or 4 years now, or something like that.
No, 2 years ago.
Olivia got married. She got married to John Bon Jovi during the week.
John Bon Jovi's son. His son.
Right, I might have
get married to John.
You give love a bad name, Andrew. Come on.
I give love a bad name. She's married now. She started, it's only season 4 or season 5 or something like that. It should have been 1 year after the
There was a massive gap between 3 and 4 though, wasn't there? There was like because of COVID and other stuff. There was a massive gap, and then all of a sudden everybody got really obsessed with Kate Bush for a wee while there.
And that's it. When
I've always been obsessed with Bush.
Delivering those episodes, it's going to be like 8 2-hour episodes.
Oh yeah, it's going to be
season.
Yeah, you're going to watch like a whole franchise.
That last season 4, the last episode was 2.5 hours long.
Exactly.
I was thinking about this in conjunction with something else, and I'm sorry if I'm going to bring the thingy down, but Doctor Who. Right, I watched the first episode of the new season of Doctor Who, and I've never seen a worse first episode of a new season than Space Babies. It was
pretty poorly.
Now I'm told it gets better. But it made me think about when I was a boy. Like Doctor Who was like it would be 5 or sometimes as many as 8 half-hour episodes for a single story. So every story was fundamentally a movie, a 2.5-hour to 4-hour movie.
Yeah.
And more, it's at the start when it came back, it was 1-hour episodes, but more often 2-hour episodes. But that Space Babies was a steaming pile of cack.
I have been looking at the season and thinking it's tracking an awful lot like an old Russell T Davies Doctor Who season. I always think his first episodes of new seasons are relatively poor. Don't get me wrong, like they've never been Space Babies poor, but like New Earth and I don't even think Rose is a particularly strong first episode. But like Russell T Davies seems to do that with his seasons. He does like a relatively meh first episode. The second episode is like an improvement by default. But I found that musical episode. They usually does like a historical episode, episode 2.
That's the Beatles one, which I've not seen yet.
Yeah, I found the Beatles one really tricky. I just didn't I didn't understand the rules, and I think sometimes that annoys me. You know, if you're watching a TV program and like the baddie's got a power or something like that, I didn't understand the rules. The idea that
Yeah.
like I like the idea that you could remove music, but the idea that like the baddies like power they could use like they basically had physical musical notes that could like wrap around things, and I'm like.
Okay,
That's,
have you seen
that's,
that?
a human, that's a human interpretation of music, isn't it? Like the musical note thing.
Yeah.
Like the stave concept is a huge like
The
so
notes,
it's not
yeah.
like, yeah. It's just it helps us. It's like a language. It's like the written language of music. So I found that quite weird. But then the last 2 episodes have been quite good.
Last week's was cracking.
Yeah,
I'm
70s
probably
TV art.
get better, but it's one of those things that like how, you know, if I'd watched that, it genuinely made me think: is this Doctor Who's not for me anymore? You know, there's going to come a time when it's going to be like I'm just now too old for it, or something like that, which I didn't want to happen, but. 73 yards or something like that. I'm hearing a lot of good things about the last couple of episodes. But
one was the Stephen Moffat one, the one about was that called Boom?
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, that was a Stephen Moffat episode. And then the last one was like the Doctor Light episode of the season, the one where like in order to like reduce the filming schedule. That was just good fun. It was a really good episode. Again, there was elements of the plot that I didn't understand. There was like they put in a baddie. They introduced the idea of a baddie and then resolved that situation in the episode. But then they've created a baddie that they haven't. I don't know. If John knows
it started off really well and really atmospheric, and I thought this is fantastic. This is like like a 70s horror movie, in a wee village. This is fantastic. And then it unraveled because it didn't explain anything. Yeah. It's like they did explain something, and you kind of go, but hang on a minute, why did this happen and why did that happen? What's going on? So without giving anything away, it was weird. Yeah.
There was like basically the doctor gave an accidental spoiler right at the start of the episode when they were talking about the future, and he mentioned something, and Ruby's like, I don't know what you mean. He's like, oh, that's a spoiler, but then she's able to use that spoiler later on. But then because of the way that the episode ties itself up, that spoiler the spoiler is still a potential issue.
Yeah,
because of the cyclical nature of the episode, they've tied up the dilemma of the episode, but they've created another problem that they haven't addressed, which I don't know if they will, and part of that's annoyed me a wee bit. I was like,
and then the one without obviously giving anything away, why did a certain character make everyone else react that way? Yeah, it was like, why did that happen?
You didn't address why. You didn't address why that.
Yeah, that was weird. But other than that, it was a good episode. If you don't peer too deeply, it was like quality. It wasn't blank good, but it was decent.
I find that I would do that for the podcast quite a lot anyway. Though I watch things, I'm like, I'm probably going to talk about this on Thursday, so I'm going to look at it a bit closer, and then be like, and then eventually I'm like, oh, I've ruined this for myself.
Yeah, but no, I read a couple of things. Yeah,
do they follow on from each other? Like, if I miss the second episode out, am I losing anything?
No,
it's going to come out.
Absolutely. Basically, they're all standalone so far.
Yeah.
And one of the things people have been commenting on is that the Doctor doesn't have a costume yet. He doesn't have an outfit yet.
No,
usually, like Tom Baker will have the big scarf, or Peter Davison, or whatever Doctor. Chris Eccleston had like the U-boat captain jacket. So far,
he found it. Quite often they find it at the end of the first episode. When they get changed into what becomes their.
This guy basically has an unlimited wardrobe and wigs.
Cosplayers are thropping, waiting to find out what they've got to do.
Well, that's a full dress. Well, it's a good point. People want to dress up as the Doctor. Particularly like Acme, there's so many Doctor Who cosplayers and things like events like that. The other thing is like I got as well. What was I going to say there? That the only thing that like Russell T Davies likes to put in like a Bad Wolf with season 1, and he likes to put in like a Volt Saxon. He likes to have like something. The only one that he's got happening this season is like there's one actress that keeps showing up in every episode.
Mm-hmm.
And that I would say that's probably the only thing that gets carried on.
Well, that's first episode, which I think, I don't know if that was a Russell T Davies, but that was a great first episode.
No, that was Stephen Moffat. by that point, yeah.
Stephen Moffat. But they had the thing. They had the scar on the in the wall.
Yeah, that was Moffat.
The
Yeah,
entire season. Sort of
That's
thing.
fantastic.
And that's a very strong first episode. I thought it was a great introduction to everybody knows that I think Matt Smith was absolutely phenomenal.
Well, the Stephen Moffat was talking about that. He said, well, obviously, up until then, David Tennant was like the most loved Doctor of all.
Yeah.
And then people were like, well, how long is it going to be till they love Matt Smith? And apparently it was just the first second he popped his head at the TARDIS. He was like, hello there. And that was it. People were smitten.
He was great. He was absolutely great.
He was good. Yeah, he was good.
He was good. But yeah, that was good. That's the only thing about the new series is this actress that I think in the Christmas episode she was the next door neighbor that says right then she's like, you act like you've never seen a TARDIS before.
Yeah,
and then
Remy Sanders.
That's
Sanders. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Brian May's wife.
Yeah, she's got her name. Yeah.
She shows up every episode. She shows up every episode as a different character. No, it's a different character.
Oh, right, okay.
But in Space Baby, she was a computer.
At the start, she didn't know what was
No, that's a different actress completely.
Not in Space Baby. She wasn't a computer. In Space Baby, she was she's in it very briefly as like the captain of the humans that abandoned the babies. She's in it for like a minute.
As a voice.
I thought you were going to say she was. Yeah, she wasn't Nani. Okay.
Yeah, she's in it as like when the babies are showing why they're there and there's no adults or something. She's like in it for a second.
Can we stop talking about Space Babies? You're giving me flashbacks, man.
Yeah, sorry. And I think she's a tea lady. I think she's the tea lady in the music episode. And then she shows up in Boom briefly, and she shows up very briefly again in 73 Yards. But a different character every time, but it's the same actress.
She's maybe going to be able to retire from acting very, very shortly because apparently Queen are going to sell their back catalogue to Sony. I read that. I was reading an article today for $1 billion.
What?
$1 billion, £800 million. They're going to sell the back catalogue.
Wow!
And it's split evenly. Like it's a 4-way even split. So I think he's going to get £200 million.
Just fucking nuts. For something that you did like 30 years ago. You know,
technically he's still poor, but
these podcasts will pay off eventually, Jeff.
They will.
Yeah. Something you did 10 years ago. I look back at one goes for.
When Sony get in touch with us in 2050, and they're like, we want to buy that time that you talked about Brian May in 2024. I'm looking at the time. This has been a long one. Just
yeah,
talk about.
Don't think so.
I'm spent.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, really good. Garfield, that's all right.
Okay.
Planet of the Apes, I'll probably see at some point.
Getting your Chris, what's his face? Fix.
Pratt.
Pratt fix. I've
not heard. Is he in Garfield?
Yeah, he is
Garfield.
He's Garfield. I was going to say he's not Jim.
Yes, indeed.
And Roy Kent's in that as well.
He is.
And
Hannah Waddingham.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I like Roy Kent and I like Hannah Waddingham.
He was voicing the trailer, and I was like, "No way, that's awesome."
Jason Lee, was he not in the Garfield movies as Garfield's owner?
That's Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, I had not. It was one of the guys from Franklin and Bash. You know the lawyery thing, Franklin and Bash.
Oh yeah, it was Breckenmeyer. Yeah.
Breckenmeyer.
Breckenmeyer was John. Yeah.
Was John in the original movies? Don't know if he still is, but there you
go. Don't know who it is. Right, okay, guys. Next week we'll have a wee chat about Dundee because that's coming up quite fast, and they're being really great with us and giving us free tickets. But also, if you are a comic creator and want to get on the show, please get in touch. We don't have any guests lined up for the next wee while, but we always find that when we open the calendar up, it fills up really quickly, and we've got decaf coming up in. I suppose it's still like 6 months away, but like. For the first 2 or 3 months, before decaf, we'll have as many folk from that on the show as well. So, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Right, guys. Until then, cheers.
Okay. Night.